Jasmine lay on the hospital bed, gripping the sides as another wave of pain hit her. Her face was covered in sweat, her eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. She cried out, her voice cracking from the effort. The sharp, bright lights above made everything feel colder, lonelier. In the corner of the room stood Derek, her husband. He wasn't holding her hand. He wasn't saying a word. He stared at his phone, like he wasn't even there with her. Nurses moved around quickly, checking monitors, getting ready for the baby to come. Jasmine looked over at Derek with pleading eyes. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Please come here. I need you." Derek didn't move right away. He sighed, still looking at his phone. Then, slowly, he looked up. His face was pale. He didn't step forward. Instead, he said quietly but clearly, "I can't do this. I'm not ready to be a dad." Jasmine blinked, confused, thinking she heard him wrong. "What?" she asked, almost breathless. "I'm not ready," he repeated. "I'm sorry." Before she could say anything else, he turned and walked to the door. "Derek!" she cried out, panic rising. "Derek, please!" The nurse called after him, telling him he couldn't leave right now, not like this. But he didn't stop. He opened the door and walked out. The door shut behind him with a quiet click, but to Jasmine, it sounded like the end of everything. Tears mixed with sweat on her face. She felt like the air had been knocked out of her. Her stomach tightened again as another contraction hit, but this time the pain wasn't just physical, it was something deeper, heavier. He had left her. In the moment she needed him most, he had walked away. The nurse held her hand and spoke gently, but the words didn't reach Jasmine. Her mind was spinning. How could he do this? How could he leave now? She had always believed they were in this together. She had trusted him. And now, here she was, alone, scared, and about to bring a child into the world without the man who promised to stay by her side. She looked up at the ceiling, tears falling silently. The pain kept coming, but inside she felt numb. Raised in foster care, she never knew what it felt like to have a stable family. Moving from home to home taught her how to be strong, how to survive. She studied hard, worked long hours, and made it through college without anyone to lean on. Life was tough, but she believed if she kept going, things would get better. At a business conference, she met someone who seemed different. He smiled with confidence, dressed sharp, and said all the right things. He talked about ambition and success, and she felt drawn to him. After a few dates, things moved quickly. Within 2 years, they were married. It felt like a dream coming true. When she found out she was pregnant, it was a surprise, but a happy one. She saw the baby as a gift, a new chapter full of hope. The man she married worked in real estate. He was good at making deals, and even better at pretending to care. His family had money, but not much warmth. Emotions weren't something they talked about. He never said he wanted children, and looking back, he often avoided the subject. She told herself he was just stressed, that he would come around. He had always been a little selfish, but she believed love could fix that. She didn't see the warning signs until it was too late. After the hospital, home felt empty. She held her newborn son in her arms, walking into a quiet apartment with no one to greet her. No balloons, no welcome, just silence. The crib they picked out together sat untouched in the corner. His phone was off, no messages, no answers, just a hole where he used to be. She told co-workers he was away for business. She told friends he was visiting family. Lying was easier than facing the truth. Only her best friend knew what really happened. That friend came over often, helped with the baby, and offered quiet comfort. Still, the nights felt long and heavy. Exhaustion set in quickly. Feeding the baby every few hours, changing diapers, calming cries. It all blended together. Her body ached. Her mind ran in circles. Every time she looked at her son, she felt love, but also fear. How would she do this alone? What had she done wrong? She sat awake many nights, rocking her baby and whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. She wanted to be strong. She wanted to believe she could handle it. And even when she didn't believe it, she kept going. Because now, this little life needed her, and she had no choice but to keep trying, one day at a time. 2 weeks after the baby was born, everything changed again. She was still tired from sleepless nights and busy days. Her body was healing, and her emotions were all over the place. She had just put the baby down for a nap when there was a knock at the door. A man handed her a large envelope. She looked at it, confused. When she opened it and started reading, her hands began to shake. They were court papers. Derek was denying he was the baby's father. He wanted his name removed from the birth certificate. He was trying to cut all ties. At the back of the papers, there was a letter. The letter said, "I'm not the right man for this life. I don't want to be tied to a mistake forever." Her eyes filled with tears. She sat on the couch, frozen, holding the paper in one hand and pressing the other to her chest. She couldn't believe what she was reading. It felt like someone had taken the little bit of strength she had left and crushed it. The man she loved, the father of her child. He was saying her son was a mistake. She didn't wait. She picked up Micah, wrapped him in a blanket, and grabbed her bag. Anger burned through her sadness. She needed to see him. She needed answers. She drove to his office without thinking. When she walked into the building, the receptionist looked up. She asked to see Derek. The woman behind the desk gave her a tight smile and said he wasn't available. She explained she was his wife. The receptionist said she had no appointment. She wouldn't call him. She wouldn't let her through. She sat down in the lobby with Micah in her arm. The baby started to fuss, but she rocked him gently, whispering soft words. She waited, 1 hour, then 2. People walked past, some looking at her with curiosity, others with pity. Still, Derek didn't come. She asked again. The receptionist gave the same answer. "He's not available." More time passed. The baby cried, hungry and tired. She fed him with one hand and wiped her tears with the other. Still, she waited, but he never came. Finally, 2 security guards approached her. They spoke kindly, but firmly. She had to leave. As she stepped out into the cold air, her heart felt heavier than ever. She had known deep down, but a small part of her had still hoped. Hoped that maybe this was all some mistake, that maybe he'd open his eyes and see their son, that maybe he'd come back. But now she knew the truth. He wasn't confused. He wasn't lost. He made a choice. He didn't want them. He had really walked away, and he wasn't coming back. Days felt long. Nights were even longer. She stayed up rocking the baby, watching the shadows move across the ceiling. Everything felt heavy. Her body, her thoughts, her heart. No one really knew what she was going through. The silence started to grow inside her. She needed to let it out. One evening she picked up her phone, sitting on the couch in an old hoodie, hair tied back, no makeup, eyes tired. She pressed record. She didn't plan anything. She just spoke. She talked about how it felt to be left, how it hurt to care for a newborn alone, how scary it was to not know if she could make it. She didn't cry the first time. She just told the truth, honest, simple, raw. She posted the video online. A few people saw it. Some left kind words. So she made another one. This time she spoke about the delivery room. Her voice shook. She said the words that had been stuck inside. "I gave birth while he walked out." That video spread fast. Strangers began to comment, share, and send messages. People from all over the country reached out. Some were mothers. Some had never had kids but felt her pain. Many thanked her for being brave. Messages poured in. Stories, support, money for diapers, offers to help. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel completely alone. She started sharing more. Quick videos during feedings, updates on her baby's smiles, and moments of deep sadness. But not everyone was kind. A letter arrived. This one came from a lawyer. He was suing her. He claimed her videos had ruined his image. He wanted her to stop talking. He called her words lies. She couldn't afford legal help. Rent was already hard. Groceries were planned down to the last dollar. But her followers weren't just watching. They were listening. Someone set up a donation link. People gave what they could. A lawyer contacted her and offered a discount. She stayed strong in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, she cried. Not from weakness, but from pressure. There was too much on her shoulders, and no one to share the weight. Then, one morning, her baby coughed. At first, she thought it was nothing, but it got worse. He struggled to breathe. His little chest moved fast. His skin turned pale. She rushed to the hospital, heart pounding. Nurses moved quickly. Machines beeped. Wires were placed. The baby cried soft. She sat beside him, holding his hand, whispering, "Mama's here." She waited in that cold room, staring at the wall. Time didn't move. Every breath he took was a prayer. She prayed, not out loud, but in every beat of her heart. While scrolling through her phone for comfort, a picture popped up. Her breath caught. It was him, smiling on a sunny beach, arms around another woman, drinks in hand. He looked happy, relaxed, far away from the world she was. She stared at the photo, numb. Then something inside her changed. The sadness didn't go away, but something else grew stronger. She whispered to herself, "I won't let him pretend we don't exist." That night, After the baby finally slept, she opened her camera again. Her voice was calm, her eyes steady. She didn't yell. She didn't beg. She spoke for herself and for her son. She told the truth, not to get revenge, not to shame him, but to make sure her story was seen, to show that even in pain, there was still power. People kept watching. More came. The comments turned into a wave. She wasn't invisible anymore. The courtroom was quiet when she walked in. Her hands felt cold, but her back stayed straight. She held her head high. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment when everything would come to light. He sat across the room, dressed in a neat suit. His face showed no feeling. He didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on his lawyer, like none of this mattered. She took the stand first. Her voice shook at the start, but she kept going. She spoke about the day in the hospital, how the pain came fast, how she needed him, how he stood in the corner, staring at his phone, how he whispered he couldn't do it and walked out while she cried his name. She talked about the days that followed, long nights with no sleep, the weight of fear, the pain of being alone. She explained how she lied to people just to avoid shame, how she had to find food, diapers, and strength from strangers online. She spoke about the lawsuit, the hospital stay, and the moment she saw him smiling on a beach while she held their sick baby's hand in a cold emergency room. Her lawyer asked questions. She answered them one by one, slowly, clearly. Her story filled the room. Then it was his turn. He said she was emotional, that she wanted attention, that she made videos to hurt him on purpose. He told the court she used their child as a way to get money online. He said she pushed him away and made him feel trapped. He smiled during parts of his speech, but nobody smiled back. Then came the moment her lawyer stood up again. He asked to show a video. The screen turned on. Security footage appeared, taken from the hospital hallway. The camera showed her on the hospital bed, crying out in pain. A nurse moved quickly around the room. In the corner, he stood near the wall, phone in hand. Then, he turned. He looked at the door, then back at her. He whispered something and stepped out. The sound of her screaming followed him as he left. The judge didn't say a word for a long time. His face had changed. His eyes stayed on the screen, even after the video ended. Then something unexpected happened. A young woman stood up in the back. The judge called her forward. She gave her name, Rachel. She was his current girlfriend. Her voice was soft but steady. She said he had asked her to end her own pregnancy, that he told her he didn't believe in starting families, that he called babies burdens. She looked at Jasmine with sad eyes and said, "I believed him until I saw her videos. I didn't know what he had done before. I ended things 3 days ago." The room was silent. The judge took time to speak. His words were calm, but strong. He said the child deserved better, that no parent should turn their back and pretend it never happened. That truth mattered, and pretending wasn't a defense. He gave her full custody, every right, every decision. He told Derek he had to pay support from now on. No choice. He also said the lawsuit was based on lies. He ordered an apology, public, honest, clear. She didn't cry when the words were spoken. She just nodded. She had already shed every tear she had. The battle was over. She had fought for her child, and she had won. She stayed quiet after the court case. People wanted more interviews. Companies offered deals. They wanted her face on ads, her voice on podcasts. But she said no. She had told her story. That was enough. Fame wasn't her goal. Peace was. She used her time to create something new. She remembered how hard it had been to afford good clothes for her baby. So she pulled out old fabric, soft thread, and her sewing machine. At night, after feeding and cleaning, she worked. She made tiny shirts, cozy hats, soft blankets with care. She called it Micah's Closet. She made a page online, posted pictures, wrote simple notes about each item. Her followers saw it. Orders started slowly, then more came. People didn't just want the clothes. They wanted a piece of her journey, her strength, her love. Within months, she could barely keep up. She hired a neighbor to help, then a second. Packages filled the living room. Her home smelled like cotton and baby soap. Every time she wrapped an order, she smiled, not because of money, but because she had built it herself, with tired hands and a full heart. Still, she knew healing took more than work. She signed up for therapy. Once a week, she sat across from someone who listened. She talked about fear, anger, shame, love, hope. She talked until the heavy feeling began to fade, not all at once, but piece by piece. At the park, she noticed another parent sitting alone near the swings. He had kind eyes, a warm smile, and a baby girl who loved to throw sand. His name was Malik. They didn't speak at first, just shared nods, then small talk, then laughter. He wasn't pushy. He listened more than he spoke. He shared his own story, loss, mistakes, lessons. They understood each other without needing too many words. They met more often, sometimes with the kids, sometimes just for coffee. There was no rush, just comfort. One afternoon, while folding clothes for the shop, she heard a soft thump at the door. A letter, no stamp, no return name. Her chest tightened. She opened it. "I made a mistake. I want to know my son." She read it twice. The words were plain, but empty. They didn't hold regret. They didn't carry change. Just want, not effort. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She stood, walked outside, and dropped the paper into a small fire pit. The flames took it quickly. No ashes worth saving. Some doors stayed closed. Inside, Micah giggled as he played with blocks. His joy filled the room. His smile was pure. She walked over, kissed his head and whispered, "We're okay." And they were. Morning light spread across the ground. The air felt calm, cool, and soft. The park was almost empty, quiet except for a few distant sounds. She sat on a bench, hands resting in her lap, eyes fixed ahead. A small figure stood a short distance away, wobbly legs, unsure steps. He looked back at her, face full of wonder. He took one tiny step, then another. His arms stretched for balance. His feet moved carefully over the grass. One more shaky step, then still standing. She rose without thinking, heart racing in the best way. He was walking, really walking. He reached her and fell softly into her arms. She laughed through quiet tears, lifting him high, pressing her face into his shoulder. Holding him close, she whispered, "You and me, baby, that's more than enough." Her eyes filled, but not from hurt. These were tears of calm, of strength, of something whole. No weight from the past pulled her down anymore. In that quiet moment, with his small arms around her neck and his cheek against hers, everything felt right. They had made it, just the two of them, and that was everything. Do you think Derek deserved a second chance after everything he did? Or was Jasmine right to walk away and protect her peace? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think, and if you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.